very good idea, but just let me give it a small twist in the sense that you see, it is very difficult to train anyone in 15 minutes on PHA or mechanical integrity or, for instance, MOC. It is very difficult. In 15 minutes, you can maybe read out 2 slides. And that is it will be extremely challenging to train anyone, so to say. So,
sir, it's not a.
let me complete. What I am trying to say that let's capture your point. And if someone is having a personal experience on any of these elements and can want to speak for 15 minutes, that look, I tried to implement PSSR in my last project, or I was involved in that PSSR project, in the project, and I gained this and this experience. That will be wonderful. And that is what I'm telling. It doesn't have to be an accident or some injury or some loss of property, then only I gain experience. No, I gain experience by doing something and trying to maybe discovering something, exploring something. Maybe for the first time I have joined a group for PSSR. Why not? I can speak about 15 minutes on that. Okay, this is how they did the PSSR. I was involved. I did this and I learned this. I think it is a wonderful idea, Sunil. And that is what is technical meet about.
Yeah.
But my point is that converting a technical meet into a training session, it is very challenging because then you are bound to go beyond your time limit. And then people start feeling, especially those people like you who are experienced people. And if somebody is trying to train you on PHA for 15 minutes, it is very uncomfortable for you. And as we have been telling our 70 to 80% participants, they are not from core PSM. And for them, trying to understand PHA in 15 minutes is again, it is possibly giving them wrong ideas. So that is why my proposition is that let us keep training away from the technical meets. And we can have standalone training events, even maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, 4 days training sessions. Like just now, you guys have organized PHA training. That's wonderful for someone who is starting. It's a very good program. I hope I'm clear in this.
Okay, let us get back to a startup point, sir. Thank you, everyone who has done a little networking in the beginning of this. We are here today for free webinar on fire incidents at ONGC Hazira facility in October 2020. And it is commemorating BP Texas Refinery Day. The program will be running from 6:30 till 8 p.m. And we are having our moderator, Mr. Ujwal Ritvik, sir, who is a process safety HSC risk management system expert, leaders over 40 years of experience championing program in establishing process safety improvement and risk management leadership in refinery, petrochemical, oil and gas. He is a program and project management, plant operation, risk management, human performance, pollution control, and integrated ISO quality management system and OHS management system to achieve global HSE performance goal and drive continual improvement. To assist us, we will be having Mr. Kanu Gohel, a PSM engineer and technical safety trainer, over 20 years of experience in hydrocarbon processing industry. He is a bachelor in chemical engineering and currently working with Kuwait National Petroleum. The agenda reads like I introduced today's program, and sometimes this is Zoom platform. You will be having disconnection. So don't get panic. You will get back by login again. This program is running live on YouTube. Those who had missed this opportunity, they can see at their own convenience. Type ASSP, then the program will run for you. Starting with this, now I will invite our president for a give opening address, Mr. Jahid Thakur.
Thank you very much, Safdar. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to all. Hope you and your family members are doing well. On behalf of ASSP Kuwait chapter, I would like to welcome all the participants. Mashallah, almost 130 participants are there, and we are going to start today's webinar on fire incident at ONGC Hazira facility in October 2020, and we are commemorating BP Texas City Refinery Day. Both speakers, mashallah, they are having very good experience. Our PSM Guru, Ujwal Lutik sir, who is having more than 40 years of experience, and Mr. Kanu Gohel, who is having more than 20 years of experience in process industries. I would like to thank both speakers for coming forward and sharing their knowledge. And two announcement only I would like to do here. One related to GCC Excellence Award. As you all are aware that ASSP Kuwait chapter is conducting this GCC Excellence Award for private sector companies, and we had already launched the program, and brochure is already there. And if you could have if possible, just check with your management, convince your management, and let them participate in award program and show their management commitment. And the second one regarding ASSP Toastmaster Club, you all are aware that almost last this is the third year we are having our ASSP Toastmaster clubs to develop leadership and communication skill. We had started this club, and every month, first Saturday and third Saturday, we are having our Toastmaster clubs meeting. I would like to request all the members to participate in that meeting and share their experience. Thank you very much. Safdar, over to you.
Thank you, President Jai Thakur. I will just give a breakdown of the activity. After that, the program will be running by our moderator and our expert, Mr. Ujwal Ritwik sir. Like we have opened our corridor chart and we are doing that networking. We will keep continuing in that wherever the time permits. Now, I will leave the floor for Ujwal Ritwik sir. The program is breakdown like BP Texas City commemoration. It will take 5 minutes, and then introduction, lesson learned, then brief on plant and process incidents, then peer loss, timeline investigation committee, and overall everything you will be going through a process with Kanu Goel. And there will be comments on the report and reflection by Ujwal Ritwik sir for 10 minutes, and then will be conclusion for 5 minutes or 15 minutes. Then question and answer session will be there. Then last, we will be having some cues and other announcement. So over to now Ujwal Ritwik sir for further proceeding.
Thank you, Safdar. It is so humbling to see so many people who have joined. Already we have 140 participants, and I request all of you to continue until end so that you get a certificate of participation. All you have to do is continue with us until the end, and I can assure you that this is going to be a thought-provoking session for you. I'm not too sure how much learning I can transfer from me or from Kanu to you, but I am quite sure that this will be thought-provoking, and that is the promise we have. At the end, there is a quiz also, just now as Sattar told, and that will keep your interest alive. So let's start. First of all, as we have been just now chatting, today is March 23, 2005, and this is how in US where right now they write dates. So month comes and then date and then finally the year. And this date is very, very important because there was a major incident, process safety incident that took place. I'll talk about it in a moment. So we need to remember this, we need to commemorate this. Commemorate means to remember. And that is what we are doing off and on. ASSP Kuwait chapter has been doing it. Last year we did it in person. It was attended by quite a few people. And this year again we are doing, hopefully next year also it will be done by the PSM Forum of Kuwait chapter. So what we are also, how we are doing BP Texas City Refinery accident has already been explained in great detail, and there is a lot of literature. So instead of repeating that once again, what we thought that we will take up another case, which is also again something to do with hydrocarbon release, loss of containment, and then fire. So we will talk about a recent incident that happened in a gas processing plant of ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Commission of India, at Hazira. And we will talk about that in detail. And that's what Mr. Kanu Gohel, he has prepared a very good presentation on that. He would be he will be walking you through the report. That's the basis of our presentation, our webinar, that we have taken that report and we have presented to you in a manner so that you can understand it in easy way. However, towards the end, we will be talking about that there are some missed opportunities as far as investigation goes. So let's start with see, we will be, one second, yeah, the talking about the BP incident. In fact, BP, I'm especially calling it BP Texas City Refinery accident because many years back in Texas City, there was another very, very, devastating incident. And we should differentiate it from that. And that's why every time we call it BP Texas City Refinery, it is highly historical. Why? Because even though it is not the worst kind of incident or hydrocarbon incident to happen, there have been many, many more incidents. In fact, almost annual basis, there are plenty of incidents happening across the world, hydrocarbon fires, fire and explosion, loss of life, loss of property, etc. However, this incident is very important. Why? Because this is one of the best cases a student of process safety or asset integrity can put his or her hand on. This is one of the best cases. Again, why it is like that? Because it has immense value as a case for real learning from incidents. Real learning. We'll talk about how we get real learning, but this is an incident, this is the case study where we have opportunity to really learn a lot. There have been layers of investigation from various perspectives. As is expected, there was local plant investigation, BP corporate investigation, OSHA investigation, Baker panel investigation. There had been n number of investigation. Of course, there was CSB investigation. We have, and the good part is that much of the information is available on public domain. There are, of course, books which may cost $40, $100 and all. However, a lot of good information, authentic information is also available on public domain. For example, there was a lady who lost her parents, both mother and father, in this incident. So she filed case against BP, and one of the conditions of the, she won the case, and one of the conditions of the case was that BP has to make public all its internal correspondence, internal, technical correspondence uh, related to this incident on public. And she has made that website very public. It is very interesting to see how cost-cutting exercises are, communicated within the company. And then finally, I feel personally connected to this incident because it so happened that, almost after 2 weeks of this incident, I had the opportunity to visit that area. Of course, I couldn't go and get inside, but I went from outside, and that sparked a lot of interest within me, and I became a student of this case. Now, objective of the webinar is, of course, not BP Texas City Refinery, but we will be talking about this Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board report, investigation report of Hazira gas plant fire. There is a gas plant facility in Hazira belonging to ONGC, and this report was published in January this year. So we are taking that as the basis, and we are, looking into various aspects of the report as lessons learned. So that's the objective of the webinar. The webinar is divided in these sections. We will be having introduction, brief of plant process, investigation committee observations, root causes, committee recommendations, what we learned, comments on investigation report. This is where, again, I will get back to you, because before this, Mr. Kanu Gohel, my colleague, he, as just now has been told, he is a PSM engineer, and of course, he's a trainer as well. So he will be talking about he'll be walking you through the case. But I'll join you, rather I'll be there all the time, but I will take back and I'll talk, I'll reflect some comments on the investigation report itself. We will have conclusion, we will have some question answer, and then open discussion. We will end with, of course, quiz at the end. So this is how it is. And now I would request, in between, if you have any questions, any doubt, I would suggest that hold it for a while, because we are running this against a time frame. So hold it to the end. As you see that at the end, we have a question answer, a dedicated time for question answer. So we will be using it, please read out your query or question at that point of time. So Kanu, can you take over? You share your screen.
Do you like to, sir? Do you like to share that lessons learned introduction?
Oh, yeah, correct. Sure, I would do that gladly. Yeah, I would talk about this is something I would talk about. Many times we think that when we are on highways, we see accidents, or we see some accident next plant, or sometimes even our systems failures and all that. So we think that we have learned a lesson. Do you think really, when we are passing on the highway and we see that there was an accident, we learned a lesson? It is questionable. And this is what I am going to take 5 minutes to talk about. How do we learn? How do we learn? We learn from our own mistake. That means we have already committed a mistake. For example, as a child, when we put our hand on a fire, we learn a lesson that, okay, we should not be doing it again. So this is our lessons learned would avoid reoccurrence of the incident. If we are careful enough in future, if we follow the procedures, then we can avoid recurrence. But how did we learn? We learned from our own mistake. Now let's compare this to learning from others' mistake. Someone else has made mistake. Can we learn from that? And it's sometime it is to avoid occurrence at my place, in my system, because I have learned from someone else. For example, this kind of ruptured disc is not good for this fluid. For instance, this is a learning from someone else's mistake. We read we read a case study, some XYZ, maybe next plant or maybe another part of the world, and we learn from that we must avoid occurrence of use of this kind of ruptured disc at our location. So this avoids occurrence, not necessarily reoccurrence from at our location. And the interesting thing about this is that this is free of cost, almost. Possibly we have watched a webinar, or we have read a book, or we have read a report somewhere, almost free of cost. That's the beauty of learning from other lesson. However, as I told, that passing and watching an accident happening somewhere on the highway does not make us learning from incidents. So, should we do the reading? We keep on reading books, periodicals, reports, case studies, watching incident videos, wonderful videos by Chemical Safety Board, attending seminars, trainings. Can we learn from them? Spreading messages in social media. No sooner an incident happens somewhere and immediately somebody posts on social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn. Keep talking about safety. We keep talking about it. So can we say that we have learned from XYZ incident? Possibly not. Possibly not. Because we have just read about it on TV. Every day we see we watch a news about some incident somewhere. And have we personally learned from that? Possibly no. It is not that easy. Like if we are passing through a library, if we are, browsing the books or just passing through the library, can we become a PhD? No, we cannot become a PhD. We can we can have a PhD, we can have a learning only when we bring some change. Without making a change in myself, in my system, in the environment, we cannot say that we have learned a lesson. So this is the first litmus test about have we learned? We need to ask, have we made a change? Have we made a change to our standard operating procedure? Have we made a change to our hardware? Have we done a re-PHA? Have we looked into our system once again? when we have watched an incident. So we are talking about 5 elements of effective learning. First is get authentic information. In this era, when there is an information overload, you may get a lot of information which is just noise or maybe disinformation or maybe completely wrong information, especially if you are going for some media reports. Many of them, they are not reliable. So we must have authentic information. Then check relevancy. There are so many things happening around the world. We keep getting information. Is it relevant to my job, relevant to my circumstances, relevant to my system? Then only we should go to the next step. Our next step is what? Analyze. We need to, okay, now I have authentic information. I know that this is relevant to me. This is a loss of containment incident for sulfuric acid, and we are also dealing with sulfuric acid. That means this is relevant to me. Let's get into further deep and analyze the incident and identify action items. Analyze to identify action items. Not very difficult. And then the fourth step is to implement. Without implementation, there is nothing. We have to implement. It may take some time. It could be something that could be done very easily. It could be something that could take time. It may be a major project, a capital project. And then finally, it's not enough to implement. Very important, you have to close the PDCA loop, plan, do, check, and act, and that means review and maintain. This is what is the one that you ensure continual improvement. So this is what we say, that 5 elements of effective learning: get information, check relevancy, analyze the action items, implement the action items, and review and maintain a continual improvement. So this is what we say, that lessons are learned and forgotten. It is not, this is another quality of lessons that we learn early in our life. Possibly we learned that, okay, let's not put our hand to fire. But maybe after 10 years, we forget that. After 20 years, we may commit that mistake once again. And therefore, we need to be careful about what we can forget, what we need to forget, but what we must remember. Organizations have no memory. People learn and they leave. We think that, okay, I am working for this company, and this company, this company, like say, for example, BP. Now they had so many incidents in the past. Still they had BP Texas City Refinery incident. Organizations by themselves do not have any memory. It is people who are working for the organization, they have memories. And if they leave, they retire, they die, they resign, they are transferred, the memories, the organizational memory, the so-called organizational memory goes away with them. This has been very beautifully conveyed by Trevor Klitz. So we need to keep reminding ourselves by such webinars, by such effort. So with this, I just want to remind all of you that it is not enough just to listen or read about an incident, a case study, but go back and see what you can implement and continually improve. Now I hand over to Kanu to talk about, he will walk you through this incident that happened on September 24, 2020. Kanu, can you please take over?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Let us go through the incident. I will keep my video off so that there will not be issue with my voice. So let us move through the incident. It happened on 24th of September 2020 at Hazira. Basically, it was a gas leak and fire at the Hazira facility, Surat. Actually, I worked nearby industry for 1 year, so I am very much familiar about the place. It was on 24th of September at night 3 a.m. So you can, there were many such news around about the incident. So let us talk about peer loss. Basically, whenever we are talking about loss, we are always used to use these peer term: people, environment, asset, and reputation. Basically, in incident, it was not arranged like this, but we tried to map it. People loss, what they mentioned, there is no injury or any fatality. That is good about. Environment loss, they mentioned about few damage to trees, but really it was a huge release and huge dense smoke. That all part was not mentioned. So here only mentioned about damage to a few trees. Asset damage, you can see from the photograph itself, huge asset damage, production loss, this, that. But as per report, they mentioned only 36-inch line, one of the condensate facility line, badly damaged and need replacement. Reputation, it becomes a news headline for all such news channel and newspaper here and there. One of the news headline, it talk about 30 million metric ton of cubic meter gas supply to the northwestern region was interrupted because of they shut down the plant and all. This is the real photograph of the facility. You can see the fire from a far distance. This is again real pictures from the incident report. So now let us check the CCTV footage. Basically, if how the incident, it is the before incident, it was clear. Now you can see here, maybe this is the 36-inch line if you see my cursor, and then there was leakage started. I will talk according to the timeline later. So this is somewhere the location where leak started. Few more pictures like huge vapor cloud. Such pictures generally we do not see because it luckily it is available through CCTV camera. Otherwise, such pictures is really rare for us. Vapor cloud all around, and then fire. So altogether, everywhere there is a fire. So this is all about loss. And now let us speak something about plant and process. It is basically not of much interest because we are talking about incident, but really we need to get some information. So let us talk about plant and process. It is at one of the location, Surat Hazira. You can see from the Google, it is at coastal area. This is about plant picture before incident. Yes, basically they were receiving gas along with condensate, and there is a huge network of such gas. One of the most important aspect, there are two lines: 36-inch line, which is around 230 kilometer long, and 42-inch line, which is around 244 kilometer, coming to the Hazira plant, means coming to the plant for processing, where there it is processed gas in gas terminal. Gas terminal is nothing but kind of separation of gas with condensate. that line, 36 line and 42-inch lines were well designed for gas and means mixed flow gas and liquid. In gas terminal, it is separated through slug catcher, and then gas is routed through various cleaning units to further distribution. And similarly, condensate is processed and routed as a for local customer and other finished product. Our major, we will not talk about this GSU, GDU and all because it is not of our much of interest, but yes, something happened to this gas terminal. So let us go through this block diagram. I tried to prepare this block diagram based on the description available in investigation report. So here you can easily understand what is inside and outside. 36-inch line, there are two lines, 36-inch line and 42-inch lines coming to this gas terminal for separation. And this is one of the isolation, means there are two isolation valves for each line, and other isolation is available, that is called valve station. 36-inch line valve station was away 1.7 kilometer away from the facility, so it is offsite, and inside there is one valve. Why we are talking about this valve? Because it is one of the point of interest while discussion. And after this valve, there was connection for metering skid 6-inch line, and particularly this flange was leaking. I mean, started leak and further fire. So this is the location where actual leak and fire happened. Again, it is based on my interpretation from the description, but more or less it is matching. So this is all about plant and processes. Let us go through the incident timeline. What happened, which time? At 2:15, one of the security guard observed noise as well as vapor cloud from the location, and he informed to main gate control room, LPG control, the various control rooms, and means they have the defined way of communication, so they communicated accordingly. Almost after 3 minutes, the same thing was reported by one more person, as well as it could be identified through CCTV. Around after 2 minutes, they have started more communication. So this is all around now communicated. Around 3:04, one of the pressure control valve. This pressure control valve, again, I could not locate because it is not a 36-inch line valve. There is something which is controlling the pressure of downstream. So that valve was closed, but this valve is not an isolation valve for the particular gas line that we will be talking later. At almost by 3:08 hours, fire took place as per the CCTV footage guideline. By 3:11, one of the means they started more control, that control room, just a minute, that informed to stop the gas supply at 36 and 42-inch line. Basically, this line is again not a line, means these valves are offshore line, even not a valve station line, but other end valves. So they started closing, they started messaging and closing. Then at 3:30, closure of sectionalized valve. In between, they have, means basically there were vapor cloud, so they could not stop the immediate control, means immediate valves, 36-inch valve and 42-inch valve. So that is why they started controlling from other end. Now they have started closure. These 36-inch and 42-inch line at that valve station, basically 1.7 kilometer away and 5.3 kilometer away. At 6 o'clock, fire was controlled, and at 7 o'clock, this particular MOV3, that is isolation valve, main isolation valve, inside the plant was closed, because after fire only they could assess the location and they could close the valve.
Because
So
this was a manual valve.
yeah, this was rather, it was motorized operated, but remote access was not there. From control room, it was not operable. It is only operable by sight only. And 7:30, they declared all clear. Yes, so this is most interesting things, which is we can say we can learn from, we can start learning from this point: observation and finding by committee. So committee have categorized the observation with respect to various titles like facilities, safety, maintenance, that firefighting system, electrical maintenance, quality assurance, and all. So let us go one by one quickly, since we have limited time. So we may not go into the detail, but rather I have keep some important points, so we can definitely go through that points. So facility, based on that facility observation, they observed various things like a mismatch of drawing in P&ID versus available in field. Basically here what they mentioned, some of the PT and some of the delta T transformers were available in P&ID, but they could not locate in DCS. So actually it was not there, or how, where they disappeared, it is again an issue. Mismatch of time stamping, they wanted to check various DCS data for the same event, but there were mismatch of the same event from one panel to other panel. So again, it is a mismatch. MOVs, rightly told by Mr. Rutvik, MOV remote operation from control room was not available. Even hydrocarbon and H2 detectors were there, but detectors were connected only to the alarm panel, not for DCS, for any kind of history. So we can again, we can think of design aspect of this initiation and all. No provision for auto shutdown of plant. This is highest kind of design deficiency, we can say. Not even a automatic shutdown or any automatic fire suppression system. Let us quickly go through. The next is with respect to safety. From safety, they have targeted a few audits like self-safety audits, internal audit, external audits, fire drills, incident reporting system, and emergency response system even. For self-safety audit, what they observed, the audit is done, but they were using checklist, but the checklist items were not covered. Many of the observations were not covered even. So there is no meaning of preparing checklist here.
There was no specific checklist for the plant. It was some very generic safety check.
Yeah, it was generic. Great. With respect to internal audit, they could identify there were 2 audits in 2018 and 19, but there was no checklist. So again, how they will be doing audit, these are again question for them. External safety audit, the observation is there were 308 recommendations. It was done in 2018, and there were 308 observations. So from external audit itself, we can understand what are the gaps, huge gap. And out of 290, means out of these 308, 296 observed, means observation recommendation were completed, but sometimes how we are completing, just completed, done without any further action sometimes. And even the balance almost 12 observations, means it was still open even, and they have extended date for up to the April 2021. So these are some of the observation. Fire drills, they were conducting fire drills and entering data in SAP, but again without any action, no recommendation, just date of conduct, that's it. With respect to incident investigation, they have some SAP notification system for reporting, and almost 79 incidents were reported. So now we can imagine incidents are keep happening, and while reporting, what committee found, there was no classification, means major, minor, or what kind of accident, what is near miss, that such definitions are not there. And that is the reason some of the minor fire or product leakage they identified, means they reported as near miss. So something is missing. And even this incident reporting is nowhere reviewed, no, even by operation or HSE or anybody else. Permit to work system was also having some issues. They do not categorize what is critical and what is not critical. And with respect to emergency response system, they identified such scenarios like heavy leak or gas leakage and heavy product leakage pipe from pipeline or tank, but they did not mention anything about isolation. And that is what we can observe here. They were doing isolation, the leak started at 2:15 and they were doing isolation at 3:30, so huge gap. Very first step shall be, as we all know, very first step is to isolate the system, but they could not do, since their emergency response plan do not talk about. Another, with respect to firefighting system, what they observed, capacity was not sufficient, but again that bases are not given why it is sufficient or what. Can you please mute somebody? Capacity test not conducted as per OISD, basically as per legal oil industry safety directorate. There is a legal kind of requirement, but they do not do capacity test, or even fuel consumption is not logged. Clear roles and responsibility not defined. How we can understand, like the maintenance and operation of pump, tanks, pipeline, hydrant monitored are carried out by various departments like utilities, sometimes some of the parties by maintenance, sometimes other agencies, contractors, and how they are performing their roles and responsibilities not monitored, functioning also not
Because the
monitored.
actual firefighting operation was by CISF,
Yes.
which is an outside agency, and
So
ownership of the assets were with ONGC.
yeah. Even with CISF is basically security staff. They how they are doing firefighting and all, again it is a question. And they were reporting to fire, means they were carried out such activity under guidance of fire chief, but they were reporting to uh, shift in charge instead of fire chief. So there is a mismanagement. There is no particular fire crew or something. With respect to maintenance, we can speak something about management of change not followed. They have mentioned one example for this particular FT that we were talking about. That FT was calibrated. Its calibration was changed. It was 16,000 mm water column, it was changed 16,000 to 2,500 without any management of change. After 6 months, again they changed the setting from 2,500 to 16,000. How? Why? Everything is not mentioned. So management of change totally not followed. By this example, critical job management not adequate, like say one of the example what they mentioned for the same FT on 18th of September, just a few days before the incident, one of the notification is generated, means one of the notification for maintenance was generated, and that particular there was a requirement of gasket, but that gasket was not available, so they procured from local market without any specification or without any quality control. Even they kept in service this particular meter only by operating pressure test. They just kept in service without any further hydro test or something, and even there was no SOP about calibration and putting in line, how to put in line such critical equipment. And after completion of job, even the notification is still open. They did not completed the notification. So permit to work system, work management system, critical job management system, we can say huge gap. SOP was not available, ineffective maintenance. How it is ineffective? Because the same what we are talking about, that 6-inch line FT, the same FT was the gasket was replaced in November, 13 November 2018, then again in February 2019, then again in 18th of September, just 6 days before the event. Nobody is checking why it requires the repetitive gasket replacement. So ineffective maintenance system, we can say, and poor maintenance management. How poor maintenance management? Because number of notifications were generated here. What they mentioned, 7,935 notifications were raised in a year, and 1,060 notifications were pending. And out of this 1,060 notification, 252 notifications were just raised before 3 months. So we can see here, nobody is asking about the notification management, maintenance management, why it is pending, what you did, and even they are closing notifications sometimes without any detail. What they did, how they did, no need to enter, just they are clicking, or maybe some system, they are closing the issue. Another, with respect to electrical, no tracking mechanism of overdue, similar way of, we can say, maintenance, no mechanism to check overdue, no mechanism to record reason for overdue, no unit identification. This is one of the interesting item, because it was relevant to our incident. They have number of flame-proof electrical equipment, like say lighting, junction and all, and they do not give unique number to that, so that it is one of the, we can say, gap, that there is a chance of every time missing some item or every time repeating some item. So for preventive maintenance, it is a gap to, which means by, if we do not have unit identification number, inadequate electrical audit. After this incident, there were audit. Now again we can say they do not learn. After incident, they have electrical audit to check the electrical connections and other equipments, and they generated report which was just a generic report of 1 page, and they did not mention detail about anything. And particular, the lamp, one of the lamp was they found damaged, and which was the cause of ignition source, they did not mention about the particular this lamp. With respect to corrosion monitoring and maintenance, scheduled was not followed, non-availability of original drawings. There were many such issues, no procedure for selection of thickness survey. So again, there is a case that particular line was not, may not be checked because there is no procedure how to select the spot. And there are chances that one spot is being checked every time, and some spots are not at all. No action or insufficient action on monitoring. Basically, if you say what they have mentioned, that in 2000, basically they have one of the schedule to do that monitoring by 4 years, but they did not follow. They did one of the survey in 2011, and next survey is 2017. So there is a gap, and in one of the survey they have identified various thickness loss, but they do not do anything. They did not do any action on such item, or even one of the thickness survey reduction point, what they did, they applied coating, not even coating, it is just paint. Whether painting of pipe is sufficient as a corrective action for thickness reduction, again question. Some general observations, they could identify lack of proper design of control room. How it is, the control room, newly designed control room was blast proof, blast resistance control room, but their doors were not blast proof. So how means it is improper design. Inadequate training and competency, that we can easily identify, like CISF, security personnel are performing job of firefighters, inadequate training. And even they have clearly mentioned that training with respect to safety, operation, control room handling, logbook writing, and what to do in case of emergency, not at all managed. People were not trained. What they have mentioned, they have some training program, 4-day training program for new recruiters. After that, no training. So whether it is sufficient, we can easily understand. And even the qualification of staff is not mentioned in HR as well as operation policy. So, and what they observed, one more thing with respect to training is last training, most of the staff attended the last training in 2018. After that, no training. So 3 years without training. MOC procedure developed in 2016 August. They developed procedure, but it was not rolled out. So without rolling out, how the people will come to know about there is a procedure and we need to do as per the procedure. No proper shift handover changeover. People are writing log in just next shift arrangement register. They were even not entering activities, even any event or any alarms, and handing taking over procedure is also not in place. So these were all the observation. Due to lack of time, we are just running through the observation. So now let us move to the what were the immediate cause and then root cause. Immediate cause of leak. Leak is what they observed. Leak is from this particular flange, because just before a few days there was maintenance on that, and without any hydro test, they it was put in service, and majority of the pipeline was majority of the bolts were what they found are broken, means damaged, but specific leakage from pipeline due to corrosion and flange leak, they cannot ascertain. And another aspect is source of ignition is one of the disintegrated flame proof electrical lamp. What they observed may not be a part of the preventive maintenance program because of lacking of unit identification number. Root causes, yes, what they mentioned as root cause, again, it is a point of discussion, and Mr. Ujjwal Ritik will focus more on the report. Failure of O-ring and failure of basically that flange of metering gasket, use of non-standard O-ring, lack of control over material sourcing because they are just doing some local purchasing and there is no any control over that. Inadequate preventive maintenance system that we already discussed in detail. Non-isolation and stoppage. So that is one of the issue. They have closed valve even at valve station at 3:30, and even after extinguishing fire, they could stop the leak at the local point, isolation point. So committee recommendation, here we will not talk much in detail because what they did, whatever observation they could identify, they were giving line to line recommendation. Like for example, what they mentioned that let us provide all P&ID to be checked and approved, and there shall be as built, means it shall be matching with the field. All MOEs to be made operated. That was one of the observation. So it is to be made operated from control room. Capacity test to be done as per OSID. Consider much such heavy leakage and fire under that emergency response scenario and their isolation. Fire pumps to be operated twice. So basically, if you see what they did, they have listed down all the observation. For each observation, they started giving a recommendation. That what we observed. So here we will not spend much time on that discussion. So what we learned, that is quite interesting. Let us, since we always try to correlate with PSM elements. So here, what are the elements are of interest that we will discuss one by one, like say process safety information. So we need to keep such information always up to date, like their P&ID and all were not updated. Something was not available in field, some informations were not at all available, some isometrics, some P&ID was missing. So there are some issues with process safety information. Procedure, they do not had some procedures like say thickness survey, calibration procedure, testing procedure, procurement procedure. There are a number of failures. So we can say yes, develop and implement the required procedure. Audit, they have mentioned safety audit, internal audit, external audit, drills, ESRD. So effective audit system is was not in place. So what shall be the real audit? Identification of gap, then root cause, then corrective action, corrective action, preventive action. Likewise, we can always to have better audit. Incident investigation was not sufficient in case of they did not mention any categorization or the proper mechanism of incident investigation. Emergency response to establish, need to establish and maintain very good emergency response system. MOC, management of system procedure was built but not rolled out, and so that it was not in place at all. Training, huge gap with respect to training in all the, even we can question the training of the particular the incident investigator itself, whether they are trained. So that part also we can, even the staff was not trained. So, only 4 hours training for a new 4 days training for new joining, many issues. And with respect to mechanical integrity and quality assurance needs more strengthening of this element. So likewise, we can always correlate to improve our system. We can always correlate the number of observation in PSM element, and accordingly we can strengthen such elements and our PSM program. Next is now I would like to um, invite Mr. Ritvik to comment on investigation report, because it is really most important aspect.
Thank you, Kanu. Let me take over the presentation. Okay, so it is, first of all, we much appreciate the efforts made by ONGC and particularly Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, that they have they have instituted such process of independent inquiry. I mean, relatively independent inquiry, I should say. And report has been put in public domain. But one thing that strikes me is that intention of the report is not very clear. Here, let me point out that they are talking about that one of the intentions is to so that this incident does not happen again. Now, they are not talking about where it should not happen. If we are not specific, I mean, it should not happen in that same plant, or it should not happen in similar plants, or in ONGC, or in oil and gas or hydrocarbon facilities across India, because they are having hundreds of such, facilities around India under Petroleum Regulatory Board. So, if that intention is not immediately clear, then to whom this report is meant, it is not pointed, and therefore who will learn from this is also questionable. But again, let me first compliment the whole process, the whole effort, that yes, they had the courage, they put an investigation and then published this report in public domain. Inquiry committee report and many such reports are available in the in public domain. If you can see my camera, this is what is this report about. So this report is available to you, or I'm not talking of just on social media, but on their website, it is available. So very much compliment, it is appreciated. Recommendations are limited to plant, but not for company or industry, because as I told, raised first issue, that to whom this is directed, it is not very clear. So recommendations are mostly, directed to the plant, and it becomes kind of the value of the recommendations, they become less. Many of the observation without addressing adequate evidences. I'm quite sure that investigation committee may have observed many more things. They had 4 days of investigation on site. They spent on site, so they must have collected a lot of evidences, and they are not talking about those evidences in the report. Now, possibly there may not be any so much a big issue. However, I have a concern there. Concern is what? that if we are observing just like that without supporting evidences, we cannot challenge the evidences sometime. And again, learning value from such reports become less because we don't know if this evidence was very correct or very too much to the point. Now, let me come to the bigger issue about root cause, technique followed, and identification of root causes. In fact, most of the root causes, just now Kanu, he explained to you, I cannot go back because of the paucity of time, but most of the root causes are actually not root causes. They are immediate causes. Now, if somebody says that how this jar broke, so somebody identifies and makes an investigation and may find out that because it fell down from the table. So this jar broke because it fell down from the table. Now, next question asked, why did it fall? Then the root cause is that because there is gravity. It cannot go up because of gravity, pull of gravity, it went down. Now, what's the point? What's the point in stopping my root cause identification that somebody pushed and it went down? And we stop at that. This is not root cause identification. This is just immediate causes. And if we keep acting on immediate cause, I think most of you know, most of people who are aware of these techniques, that we cannot have a permanent solution. Possibly they should have gone beyond as to why there was so much of asset integrity failures in this whole facility. And a bigger question to ask is that is there a similar situation all across ONGC facilities, all across petroleum and natural gas facilities across the country, that they are in violent in violation of so many OISD requirements? How they, and who was auditing, who was monitoring, why there was like this? They have to go beyond. And as we say, if even a simple 5 why technique could have given them a better value to the whole effort. But what we find here, in the name of technique, they have written that the three investigators, they did brainstorming. Now, just brainstorming cannot lead you to a good root cause analysis. And if the root cause analysis is not good, the solutions also cannot come. Lasting solutions may not be possible. They are completely silent about previous incidents that took place in that region, in that area, in that facility, across the facilities. Completely silent about asset loss, production loss, business interruption loss. Okay, I understand that maybe this is a facility of strategic importance and they don't want to talk about loss in terms of rupees or dollars or things like that. However, it is very important to find out, as to what extent this investigation or to what depth this investigation should have gone. We have no idea whether it was just the metering skid that was lost, or it was the whole section of the plant that was lost, or it was the whole gas processing facility that was lost. How long it took to, or prediction, how long it would have taken to get them back in service, how much the company lost due to loss of business, customers, how much they face, how serious interruptions they face, how long they face, because it is going to domestic customers, industrial customers, transport customers, utility customers. So these are some of the questions that are completely, the report is silent about. So that makes the value of the report, much less than what were the efforts. Let me come to another aspect is that again the team formation and the people, we have no idea what were their backgrounds. Just now Kanu was talking about what were their expertise in doing such investigations. Are they professional investigators? In fact, many a times, many companies, I have seen this, they think that investigators are born investigators. Means just assemble people from east, west, north, south, and they become investigators. Why? Because they are at higher positions. This does not make a good investigator. At least one professional investigators have to be there in any investigation. And when I say professional investigator, that does not mean must hold PhD in investigation. There is no such PhD possibility. However, the person should have at least some training, some idea, some background, some experience in such investigations. Then you increase the value of investigation, and not only investigation. Possibly they have done a very good investigation. We don't know. It does not reflect in the report. That report has to be, upvalued. No mention of any safety staff and HSE department, what they said, what they did not do, they did do. Nothing is made, as if the whole system is without an HSE system, without HSE organization. Nothing is mentioned in the report, anything about such. This one mention much details of plant processes, which is rather irrelevant to investigation. In fact, I believe there are some, in such a short report, there are some 3, 4, 5 pages devoted on as to what are the downstream units doing, what are the facilities, how the flows are there, which has nothing to do with the incident, which is only located on the gas processing site. And funnily enough, I possibly to the extent I could study the report, they had not mentioned much about the location, the skid, the 8-inch line, the 6-inch line, the location of the flow element, orifice, all such things. It's not there altogether in the report. It is in that way, it is very difficult to even follow the report because it is not there in the report. No investigation about noise heard by security. The report starts, the first paragraph of the report says that a security person heard a noise. But when you get into the detail, where observations, root causes, you don't find anything about that noise which was heard at the beginning, which was at 2:15 or so in the morning. Now, they got abundantly lucky that possibly there was no explosion. Now, just imagine a hydrocarbon leak from high pressure liquid hydrocarbon is coming out from condensate line, and we have seen the video footage that there is so much of leak around. They are abundantly lucky that there was no explosion. But again, that's questionable. If you see, we have seen that, we have shown you initially a newspaper clip. I think it was from Hindustan Times or some other news agency. 3 explosions were heard by the public. They are not talking about within plant. They are talking about public, and public heard 3 loud explosion noises. The whole report is completely silent about that. In fact, as I told, nothing mentioned about the noises heard. And as we know, in any investigation, noise counts. Silent on legal consequences of or non-compliances, etc. In fact, what OISD norms, what petroleum regulation norms, what were violated, nothing, the whole thing is completely silent about the legality or the legal aspect, techno-legal aspect of the situation. Attempted to search leak in vapor cloud. They have talked about that some people, they attempted to to search for leak, but I don't know if it was the right decision on their part. Nothing is discussed on these lines. Used many acronyms and full forms are not mentioned anywhere in the report. So unless you are fully familiar with the plant, with the system, with the organization, with various terms and abbreviations they are using, it becomes very difficult for an outside reader to follow the report and make a sense out of it in its full meaning. Now, my small submission is that, yes, I fully appreciate the work done by the committee. They have done their work, to the extent that was, but as I told, their efforts, whatever efforts they have put, it has been devalued by the process that they followed. The whole process, I mean, that, getting into the incident, investigating the incident, and making it public, it is in public domain by, PNGRB, is very much appreciated. But again, as I told, that there is much, much, much to be done. In fact, this regulatory board has a lot of work to do. I cannot get into further detail, although there is much to be said. Questions are raised. Only 7 incidents since 2016 reported. Now, anyone who has any idea about hydrocarbon industry in India will give it a, will look at it with much doubt. Only 7 incidents since July 2016 until March 2021 or January 2021. It's kind of difficult to accept. How the lessons were learned by ONGC, the whole report does not talk about what lessons that ONGC as a company must learn. And as I told, how the lessons were learned by this Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board or industry as a whole, they have learned. Very difficult to, gauge. Incidents are common, pipeline incidents are common. I have just collected some media report. They may or may not be correct, but at least it gives a flavor that we are much beyond what actually shown on their website, on PNGRB website. So in conclusion, some of the lessons were not learned. Some, or possibly as you look where you are, many of the lessons were not learned. In spite of this, effort. Accidents keep occurring, lessons are not learned, need of improvement in investigation process and competency of investigators. Again, I don't want to say for a moment that these three people who were investigators by any means they were less competent or they were anyway insufficient, but the report goes against not in so much in favor. So lost opportunities for learning. There was an incident that we could have, within the industry, within that country, outside the country, students like us would have learned, but we could not. So with this, I open the forum for questions. And what I would request is that raise your hand. We would like to take as many questions as possible, but raise your hand and you will be unmuted by Mr. Ramana, and then you can tell us what your question is. And it would be good if you can introduce yourself in one phrase. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Muruganandam raised his hands.
Yeah, Mr. Muruganandam, please go ahead.
Are you audible me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I want to give my thanks to Mr. Our presenter and our critics are currently pointed about what is the shortfall of the incident investigation report. Because we need the specific recommendations, sir. Example, from the presentation, we come to know the leakage from the plant, the 6-inch plant. But our recommendation, we need how we can identify these branches in the initial stage, like HSE inspection instead of audit. HSE inspection can be made on daily basis. The audit can be made in 1 month or schedule based. Like that, our specific recommendation, if you address, it will be very useful for the future ONGC plans and other process plans. Thank you.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. In fact, let me talk about that most of the recommendations that they have made, it is directly from the so-called observation list of observation they have, and they have converted into recommendations. The problem is that no evidence is shown for those observations either. Now, we are sure that they must have collected lots of evidences, and therefore those observations are there. However, the value of entire investigation would be if we connect all these through a root cause analysis. That root cause analysis is missing here. And therefore, even without this whole investigation report, if you walk there as an inspector or as an auditor, you may come out with the same recommendations. What? That they don't have P and ID which are verified as built. For that, they don't have to commit an accident to find out that to have a P and ID which needs to be as built, they don't have to make an accident. Any reporter, any inspector or auditor could have, in their routine inspection, could have found out what? That they don't have P and IDs. Their PHAs are not revalidated. Whether there was a PHA done, in fact, the whole report is completely silent about that. Whether any time in the history of the plant, any PHA was done. They are completely silent about it. Now, if you walk in the plant as an auditor or as an inspector, you will make that recommendation. So what I am trying to say is that if I am doing an investigation, the value of investigation lies in the root cause analysis, how efficiently, to what depth it was done to connect my evidence with the recommendations. Go ahead, next question, please.
Yeah, before going to the next question, sir, I request everyone to be on the task. Okay, don't deviate from the topic. Okay, I request everyone to go and crisp questions so that speakers will give the correct answers.
Correct.
Mr. Pawan Kumar, you can unmute yourself and
Yeah, Pawan.
yeah, Mr. Muhammad Khalid, wait for some
Hello.
time. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Pawan.
Very good evening. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Even though we are doing this EPR and PSI and audits and procedures and incident investigation reports, even this statutory requirements, what we have done, even when the audit has come, it's for the namesake. They're coming, they're doing the audits and they're going off. But there is no person to review. For that reason, this actions are happening. As
You
you know,
are
right?
correct. So that is why if you go by PDCA, somebody has to review and ensure that actions are taken, and the review means it has to be at a higher level. It should not stop at some section or division level. It has to go to highest of the management, where they need to review that they spent time and effort and money on audits. What happened to that? What results I am getting? Where I am? Okay, Mohammed
But,
Khalid, can you please go ahead?
Sir, one thing I want to ask you.
Okay, you go on, Pawan Kumar. You should ask a question if you want to ask. Hello?
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, Khalid, we will get back to Pawan
Yes,
later.
sir.
You have any question?
Yes, sir. I saw that the fire happened in 2:15 at ONGC Hazira in your slide. But the one of your colleagues, I think, who was told that in their emergency response plan, there was nothing to isolate. It's not correct. There was nothing to isolate the 36-inch line or 46-inch line. What you have shown in their emergency response plan, I just want to confirm it.
Sorry, Mohammed Khalid, your voice is not very clear. It is very difficult to make out what you are asking, but I can tell you that our interpretation is between the pages. We don't have any other reference. So it is highly possible that we might have misunderstood some of the explanations given in the report, and we are sorry for that. But if you have any specific question, just put on the chat box. We'll try to respond back. Mr. Jay Kumar, you have some question. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for this webinar, and I
Thank
truly
you.
appreciate that. And my
Good to
question is
talk
that
to you after such a long time. Go
yes,
ahead.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this thing is that what I've really observed. I also worked with ONGC here during my Halliburton times. So what I've really seen is that the accountability metrics is not there at all, and the biggest challenge is that if you look at this incident itself, there was leak, and 15 minutes after that only the fire took place. They actually really had enough time to take charge of the situation, which they did not. So what I mean to say is that it's not a question. What I mean to say is that the accountability is not there at all in the organization. If it is not there, the same thing is going to happen and again and again. And on top of that, if you look at the investigation, they did not even mention which tool they have used for investigation. So it is somebody coming and collecting the information and putting the report because it is a requirement. With that, I'll stop.
Yeah, to a great extent, this is what we have tried to explain in our webinar. So thank you very much for supporting the point. Anyone else having any question? As Ramana is repeating again and again that all of you who are attending this, all 140 plus people, can get certificates, but you have to answer the quiz also. So just don't miss that out. Yeah, who else has raised hands?
Okay, sir. There are two guys again. Shall I go with the quiz, sir, in the meantime?
Just let me take one more question, then we can go for the quiz.
Okay, sir. Mr. Muhammad Khalil is here.
Yeah,
Yes,
can we
good
hear
evening.
him now?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciated your time for this webinar. It was mentioned in accident, the leakage, the fire happened because of leakage. Due this leakage several times, there is a change for gasket, right? I think if several times gasket was changed and several times we spare part is purchased local, I think there is no any engineering designs. Gasket not as spare engineering design. That's right.
Quite possible. Yeah, because they could not get back to original manufacturer, so they were procuring locally, and they had no quality control system in place. This is the finding of the committee.
Yes, no proper inspection by mechanical QC.
You're
I
correct.
think.
Yeah.
Actually, the plant was quite old, 1986, and that time the particular gasket design was square gasket. It is surprising to us. So it was not available. That is why they opted for O-ring something, and it is makeshift arrangement basically.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. So go ahead, Ramana. You can start your quiz.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to post the quiz for the link. I request everyone to participate in the quiz, and you will get the certificate in the later time, not immediately. Maybe by tomorrow or day after tomorrow, because the number of participants are very high. Like we can issue only 50 certificates per day. So think that 140 plus is there. So it will take 3 days to complete all the certificates. So bear with us, and it is mandatory to participate in the quiz. Okay, so this is the link now. You just click on the link and finish it. In the meantime, you can ask the questions also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ramana. So we encourage you to get into the quiz. This will, consolidate what we tried to tell you during last 80 minutes.
Ashok sir is there, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashok. Welcome.
Namaskar, sir. Very nice to hear your voice.
Thank you. Same here.
And thank you, Mr. Kanu Gohel, for enlightening with the incident we have heard in the news through the sequence of events. Appreciate your, capturing the whole report. I just want to tell that in 2006, I think when I was a vice president, or I think Jay Kumar was a secretary who is attending today, first time Mr. Ritvik presented this incident in Radisson Hotel. And I think again, I'm surprised to see Mr. Jayakumar on the call today. Very, very nice to hear his voice. One thing I want to share, sir, you already made a clear analysis of the inquiry committee report. They are not calling as investigation report. They are calling as inquiry committee. Maybe they are not followed the whole systematic process, of course. I just want to share my experience with the GSHP, which is a Global Society of HSC Professionals. after the lockdown, there was a massive explosion in LG polymers in Vizag. So
Correct.
that we did some sort of internal analysis of that report and that incident, and we submitted a white paper on that incident to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. And to our surprise, or to our, whatever you call it, the AP government has issued a licensing policy highlighting on the safety and environmental precautions. Most of our paper recommendations were considered in that report. So that was interesting. What I want to tell you, sir, as a ASSP Kuwait chapter of a professional body under the PSM, we know that we have a lot of observations on the investigation process. Just kindly think it over whether we can make some sort of a observation on that report and send it as a professional body to the ONGC for their consideration. So this is something giving back to the industry field. So if Mr. Jahid and others agrees as executive committee, we can work. We have so much of expertise. What are the areas they can further focus during the future investigations or something like that? We can give some recommendations to ONGC as a professional body, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ashok. Thanks for your wonderful comments.
Yeah, sir, there are some announcements. Shall we go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir.
Rest assured, we can answer all the questions. Just type it in your, chat box, and we will try to answer them as much as possible. So, since we have gone over time, beyond our given time limit, I would request that put your queries in the chat box, and then I request Mr. Jahid Thakur to take over from here. Thank you. Thank you. It was pleasure, and it was an honor to be presenting to you all. Thank you, ASSP, from both Kanu Gohel and from my side.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Ramana, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Jahidji. I'll just go ahead with our upcoming events. I'll take only 2 minutes. We have ASSP GCC Excellence Award, which is already launched, and I'm going to brief a little bit with 2-3 slides about it.
Excuse me, Ramanaji, your share not working.
Not working?
Share screen, no. Yeah, no, okay.
Now, okay. I don't see that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
After the Excellence Award, I'll brief about the other upcoming events. We have blood donation campaign on 26th March. Those who didn't register so far, they can register so that we'll make proper arrangements. And we have WISE webinar on well-being of parents and children during the COVID-19. This will be on 27th. And we have ISO 14001 training, which will be on first week of April. We are still working on it, and we are going to announce it soon. And PSM Technical Meet 10 will be on 21st of April. It is on 3rd Wednesday of every month. And we have VOHS W505 training, which is planned for this month, but due to the this one Ramadan month, we are going to have it on after Ramadan. So end of May it will be. And just quick glances, quick look of this ASSP Excellence Award. We have launched it on 11th of March. Before that, we had a soft launch with our chairman, and Mr. Faris Al-Mansuri, with our president and Mr. Mustaq Majah. And if we go through the theme of this award, it is you perform, we recognize. This award is devised to recognize private sector companies around GCC. Okay, those who are in GCC, they can apply and get these awards. Following the awards, we have platinum, gold, silver, bronze, and merit. These awards will be categorized upon their scores. For more details, you can have our website. I'm going to post here. These are the details of our awards. You can see award categories are engineering, manufacturing, oil and gas, petrochemical, facility and maintenance, and sector. And we have other awards also, like CSR award, environmental excellence, modes, best HSC initiative, and best risk management. Those who are participating with the GCC Excellence Award, they can also participate for these awards, only individual awards also. And for more details, you can go through our website, or I'll give you the details in the chat box. You can ask your company to participate and get this prestigious award. These are the dates of this award. Last date of submission of application is April 30th, and declaration of results are May 30th, and award ceremony, it will be a virtual this year, and it will be on June 20th. Okay, these are the previous winners: Platinum Award winners, Gold Award winners, Silver Award winners, and other awards. And this is patronized by Kuwait Petroleum Corporation, and it is encouraging by KOC, KNPC, all K companies, you can say. And most of the private sector companies are participating to get this award. And this is endorsed by BCSP and supported by IADC, IPF, and WSH Asia, and our knowledge partner is GDA. Thank you. Now we'll have a felicitation, and felicitation by our secretary, Mr. Safdar Ali Khan. Welcome.
Thank you, Ramana. Thank you, Ramana, for engaging and giving a brief about GCC, and all participants are encouraged to spread the word for participating in ASSP GCC Award. Now this is time to do a felicitation to the speaker for today, for Mr. Kanu Gohel. Sir, Mr. Kanu Gohel, this is a small token of appreciation for your effort to sharing the lesson learned ONGC Hazira. And this is facilitation for Ujjwal Ritwik sir, PCM expert and PCM community moderator from DP Texas. Congratulations, Mr. Kanu Goyal, PSM engineer and technical safety trainer. Thank you, sir, for giving this webinar on ONGC Hazira gas processing facility fire, September 2020. Now, if our Vice President Majharuddin Sheikh is back, then we will ask him to hear. Otherwise, I will continue with this.
You can continue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, all participants who has bear patience with us and different part of the world. We are really excited to see you enthusiasm or your interest. Kindly be a part of this journey. We are meeting like every Wednesday for the month, third of the Wednesday for PSM community. You will get a lot of information in coming days. thank especially Khanu Gohel, Mr. Ujwal Ritwik sir, our advisory committee and EC committee members, and PSM forum, and our chapter staff for bringing this webinar and making it a grand success. And we also thank all these participants in different part of the world has taken some message from us. And thank you all for being an active listener. Thank you very much. With this
Thank you.
remark, President, we will be closing our session.
Thank you, Sardarji. Maybe we can continue for 5 more minutes.
Yes, we will keep this forum open for.
Yeah, we are still available if still some
Yes, sir.
queries are there.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Ramana, please take for networking lead. And
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Good evening again. If anyone would like to talk, you can open your mic and talk. And if you have any queries, you can put the queries in the chat box so that we'll try to get the answers from the speakers.
Good evening, sir. I'm Shekhar. I'm hearing me?
Yes, yes, Sekhar.
Ritwik, sir, the very wonderful presentation. Thank you very much to you and as well, Mr. Kanu Koyal. I have a small one query, sir, related to the incident and the facility, whether the facility has been carried out any process hazard analysis technique like HACCP and all. And during the HACCP session, any intent with no details, any recommendation has been found, and this recommendation has been taken action, anything or any open to related to this such a technical query, sir. And also any apart from the HACCP study, like quantitative risk assessment study, whether any leakage is coming, any fire or explosion is will expecting that in that aspect, any quantitative risk assessment has been carried out and how it was done related to the safety studies, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, as I stated, there is no mention. First of all, our source, the only source for this webinar has been the investigation report from the inquiry committee. And in the entire report, there is no mention of PHA or HACCP or QRA being done anytime. So we can't say, we can't answer your question. Possibly we ourselves have those questions that a plant which was built in 1986 could be done without a PHA, if not HACCP, at least some kind of hazard assessment would have been done. So we are not very sure of that.
Okay, sir. Thank you. But after the
we don't even know if they had a process safety management system in place or even an HSE management system in place. There is no mention in the whole report.
Okay, sir. After that, there was so many modification might have done. And during the modification, any PSSR on project HSE review was done? Any idea, anything related to the
nothing?
Studies?
No mention of any such thing.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
They have mentioned about a couple of issues. One slightly related to PSI, that as-built P&IDs were not available. They have talked about MOC, that no MOC process in place in violation of OISD requirements. They have talked about mechanical integrity, not directly as mechanical integrity, but about as maintenance and inspection issues. They have raised that. So these are some of the PSM related, as Kanu very well captured in his slide. And by the way, we will be making, because I'm seeing a lot of queries about having this presentation, like in the past, as this tradition of ASSP Kuwait chapter, the whole presentation will be made available on the website in a few days' time.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your help.
Hello.
Yes,
yeah, Pawan,
Sorry, sir. Again, I just want to ask you, like there are so many local, non-standard and local purchase has been done, and even though static requirements which are there, and they have been approved, even internal and external audit, because of this, the competitor issue for that reason, the legal has been approved or something like that, because the procurement division has to be according to the legal requirement. So many things has been failure, even though the statute requirement approved all these things, and non-standard local purchase and all these things, which is rolled out.
Very good question, Pawan. And these are the questions we are also raising. And that is the reason that I have tried to explain that this whole report is a case of missed opportunity. I mean, there would have been many more things that could have been unearthed, which would have been of much value to the site, to the facility, to the company, to the industry as a whole. So even we are asking the same questions, and that is the purpose of this webinar.
Okay.
Thanks for raising it again.
My pleasure, sir. And even though I really appreciate for the events, we're learning a lot.
In fact, I see another similar comment from Devendra Rathore. Shocked to know that this incident is not 30, 40 years old. This is happening in 2020. And we are also shocked. Every single element of PSM element failed, whether it is PSI, audit, training, MI, or QA. Auditors like OISD are in question about their regular audits of ONGC installation. So this is something coming from, even we are also shocked that this all happened. I'm quite sure that people who are involved, they would be having much more information than what is published in the report. But for any outsider, it is a case of missed opportunity.
You're right, sir. Thank you so much for that.
So we will take a couple of more questions, and then we'll have to sign off. So please go ahead.
Mr. Aliar says.
Sure.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good to hear your voice.
It's always a delight to hear you. And after a long time, after PSM 60, you became again a guru here. And it's always a delight. And since you have highlighted so many things, I have got no question. And I believe not many people have any question. So just for the sake of asking question, I won't ask. It was always nice to hear from you.
Thank you very much. Just a small correction. I am not a guru. I am a student.
No, sir. For us, you are guru, you will remain guru. And it is always good to see, and whether you were in Kuwait or now probably in Virginia, you look as fresh as ever.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we will take one final question before we sign off. I think we have exhausted all queries. Those of you who are still having something, please, mail to the, society office, info or Ramana, and we will try to respond back to you as much as possible. Thank you again. It was a pleasure, serving the chapter, the society, presenting to, actually it's a humbling experience for both of us. So see you sometime in a future event. Bye from me.
Thank
Kanu,
you.
over to you.
Much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot. And inshallah, the journey will continue as you advise and suggest. And Ashok, sir, thank you very much for your suggestions and well noted. And inshallah, we will have talk on this one, and we'll write something to the ONGC also, whatever the comments you have suggested. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all for participating. Still 82 people are there, and
Thank you all.
I
Thank
request
you.
all to be connected and take more and more active participation in our future events, as Ravana told, on 26 blood donation, 27 there is an event from Women in Safety Excellence, and first week there is one more training related to ISO 14001. Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay,
Over to you, Ramanna.
thank you, Jayaji. There are some questions related to certificate. Those who are new, please note that you must attend the quiz to get the participation certificate. Okay, it was open for 5 or 10 minutes today. So if your name is there in the list, you will get it automatically. There is no need to send a mail or something. Okay, please check in your inbox. If it is not found, check in your junk or spam mail, spam folders to find our certificate. And one more thing is, someone is asking about the next, how do we know the next upcoming training? For all the members, we are sending announcement through email, and we have a WhatsApp broadcasting group, which is going to each individual as a personal message. And those who are not in our group, like new members or non-members, they have to visit our website frequently to know our upcoming events. And if you have any known person or a contact from ASSP, you can just inform him so that he will forward our messages instantly. Or if you really want to have a contact with our chapter, you can ask us to add your number in our group. We are very flexible in some extent. Okay, we will we'll look into your request and we'll try to put you in our WhatsApp group, though you are not member. Okay, and if you have any other questions, you can go ahead and ask. I'm just checking the chat box now. That's it. Some other questions are there. We'll send this one to our speakers and get back to you. Related to our ASSP Kuwait chapter, those are the things. Electrical safety webinar. Okay. Someone is asking to have an electrical safety webinar. Okay, we have noted this one and we'll try to get a webinar on electrical safety as well. Thank you. Okay, it's too late. We can wind up, I think. If you want, if you are anyone interested to talk or you want to, like if you have any queries or something, you can go ahead or we'll wind up. Okay, our website is posted here, not www. It is kuwait.assp.org. And if you want any details about our award program, also you will find in the same website. And the link also posted in the chat box. It is very useful. Those who are applying for the award program, if you have any queries, you can send an email or WhatsApp message so that we'll be in contact with you. We'll be in, we will contact you and give you further details. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all for participating, and hope we will meet you in the next in our next meet, which is going to be on 27th. 26th we have blood donation campaign. It will be for only registered participants. If you would like to register, just send your interest through WhatsApp, or you can send an email to register. We have a pick and drop facility also. Okay, you can ask for the pickup and we'll provide you. And hopefully we'll meet on our next meet which will be on 27. Till then, bye. See you. Good night. Quiz is already over, dear Sekharji. It was only for 5 minutes. We are given 10 minutes time and it's concluded. Thank you.